Alright, what is going on? Uh, Yesterday I made a video about fishing at Skårland, Fjord, Norway. Basically using this max drag setup with not that rod. Yeah, the Karasu Toha. It was a max drag setup. And it was kind of designed in a way where it's the fastest way of gaining XP, at least for right now. I got the setup and the location and everything from this guy. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I heard somebody say it was Chubby, but I don't see how. I feel like they were trolling. Is a CSABI 10, and he was fishing for halibut with this max drag setup. The one I kind of got highlighted in the templates right now, not the actual equipped setup. But I did a video with that, and it was a very much like a proactive. When you get a bite, you're pretty much yanking on the pole, and you're even turning your body to a degree back and forth. It's very involved, and once I got to level 110, max level for the moment, I wanted to kind of make a video on kind of what I would assume is the easier solution to catching these fish. The problem with the max drag setup is that it's not very cost efficient. You're actually spending more money than you're making because you're burning through reels pretty much in one fish, and then you're making you're spending more on the repairs and the fast forwarding times than you're getting during the fishing session. But it's the fastest way to catch them. Now I actually haven't even tried this setup that I've got now with the Pulse Wave 5.5. It's the best reel and the best rod available right now. And I went ahead and just got 7 of them. Because I figure I'm probably going to be fishing with this setup for a while. They're pretty spendy. I mean, I spent over $110 million on 7 of these rods and reels with a handful of lines. Actually, how many lines do I have? Because I was going to get more lines if I need to. I didn't actually check. Do these all have the same amount? Yeah, they do. That one's got a foot less. Okay. And I probably really only needed to get like 4, maybe 5 of these if I'm planning on using like a rod stand. I mean, the most rods you can hold in a rod stand, the best rod stand you can get right now holds 4 rods, and then if you have one in your hand at the same time, you have 5. But I figured, if I want to stay at the location for a long period of time, maybe I want to just go ahead and get 7, and then I can switch out when a rod setup starts getting low on durability. This is more of the setup where I'm probably going to fish for them the same way, as far as like probably have the anchor down, not really worry about moving from the spot I'm in. This rod is quite a bit stronger than the rod. I mean, this is 331 pound line weight, where the rod I was using was 231 line weight. So you're going to be getting less XP per fish, I imagine, because of how much stronger this pole is compared to the max drag setup. But it's also kind of designed just to be easier to reel them in, not really have to worry about doing like the jerking motion stuff that I was doing with the max drag setup. And this is just kind of more the leisurely, like, I'm not burning through reels on every fish, and I can just sit here and kind of pay a little bit less attention to it, watch some YouTube, whatever else I want to do. It's kind of what that's designed for. And I mean, by all means, you don't have to have this tungsten sinker that costs bait coins. You can just do whatever sinker makes the most sense if you don't want to sink bait coins into it. You can just get, I mean, they've got a free 35, not free, but it's, you know, it doesn't cost bait coins, it costs cash for 35 ounce sinker. It's the same weight as the one I got here. And kind of the same thing with the torch light. It doesn't have to be the bait coin torch light. I did go ahead and switch the max drag setup to have the non-bait coin leader. It's the same specs. It's just you can't get this one until it's your level 110, whereas with the bait coin leader you can get at like 105. What was it actually? Yeah, 105. But it's 163 bait coins. It's something that I had them because I got the pack, but if I didn't have them, I probably would have just been using something not quite as strong. Let's see, I was 108 when I started doing that, so I would have been probably using one of these 220 pound ones for cash. 234, I guess, is probably what I would have been using. This 4'11", 4 foot 11 inch. And then the hook, the golden hook, I'm really not sure about that. It's a J hook, so I feel like it's best to kind of stick with the J hook. But the J hooks that aren't the golden hooks, you can't use with this rod, so you might kind of be stuck using a different pole setup or just spending the bait coin. I imagine that there's something that you can use hook wise with this setup that would work just as well, that doesn't cost bait coins, but I haven't really bothered to experiment or to try to figure out what that would be. Maybe one of these square hooks would work. I'd imagine they probably would. And actually, speaking of that, it looks like I have some in my backpack. My question is this something that I can actually equip right now? Yeah, so you can equip the square hooks. And maybe that's the solution, is you just try using a square hook if you don't have the bait coins. I'm probably going to try to continue using the golden hooks, but we'll see what happens if I end up losing them. I know you're pretty prone to lose them with the max drag setup, if you're not careful about, like, when your reel durability gets low, what I was doing was I was lowering the drag and then putting my rod in the rod stand to let the fish get away. But it would take the hook and the bait with it, whereas if you would just let the reel break, you would keep the hook. So it's better to let the reel break on the max drag setup than it is just to lower the drag to the point where the fish gets away, just because you have that chance of losing the hook, which costs bait coins. And in my opinion, you want to try to save as many bait coins as you have, unless you get really good at the competitions. It's kind of a premium currency. You can get them through the competitions, you can get them through leveling up, you can get them through doing challenges, but challenges aren't infinite. Leveling up, you can say, is infinite, but it takes a while to level up. So it's kind of what's really worth it. You can buy bait coins for real cash. But yeah, using a square hook, if you don't want to spend the bait coins on the golden hook, might be a solution. It's something I haven't actually really thought about until now, and probably won't bother trying unless it comes down to I just don't have the bait coin to buy more golden hooks, and I end up running out. But yeah, letting the reel break with the max drag setup isn't really the end of the world. You can use a repair kit, which repair kits kind of cost money as well, and I think that you can get them through challenges or something like that. But even if you're not using a repair kit, I think personally that it's better to just buy a new reel than it is to end up having to spend bait coin on new hooks, even if it's just whatever. It was like 27 bait coins for 5 of these hooks, and then the reel is, I want to say the reel's like a couple 100,000 or something like that. The in-game currency cash. I still think it's better to just buy a new reel with the in-game cash. Yeah, it's almost 500,000 for the reel, and I'd rather buy a new reel than spend bait coins trying to buy new hooks or even repair kits. I mean, repair kits are fairly cheap. Repair kits are somewhere. I don't even remember where you buy repair kits at the moment. Oh, it's in services. So yeah, I mean, it's 10 coins for a repair kit. 150 for 20. I got a bunch of repair kits for when I bought the packs, and like I said, there's some challenges that you can get repair kits, but in my opinion, I wouldn't even buy the repair kits. I would just buy new equipment. The only time I would say it makes sense to buy a repair kit is if you're repairing a rod or reel setup that costs bait coins to begin with. But if you can buy it with in-game cash, not bait coin, but cash, I would just do that. So anyway, this is the setup. You know, it's the best rod, the best reel available, the best line available, and then it's the best leader available. It's the I mean, the sinker is more, you're just trying to to get to that 7 to 53 ounce casting weight, minimum maximum range. Blueies, I think, is kind of the preferred bait for this. I mean, the bells are kind of up to you. The torchlight, I don't know if that has any influence on your catch rate or anything like that. You can go with any color of torchlight you want as far as that's concerned if you want to use them. I don't think it's really necessary, but I could be wrong. But anyway, like I said, I haven't even tried this, so I could be... I'm just assuming that from what I know about playing this game, that this setup is going to work just fine the way I'm talking about, the way it will. I'll be surprised if it doesn't. So we'll go ahead and hop in here. First thing I'm going to do is put on some sunglasses because I don't like dealing with the glare. The sunglasses are one thing that I really enjoy collecting on here. I think I've got all the different types of sunglasses. So I've got a fast travel marker here at 2281.58 and 7.04. Just going to go ahead and travel there. I'll move forward just a hair because I don't like to be right on my navigation buoy, my fast travel marker. So I'm just going to keep the anchor down. It'll probably be faster to catch them with the anchor up. It's kind of completely up to you. I just feel like it's probably not going to be necessary. It might be a little bit of a longer fight for the fish, but if I'm really not wanting to pay too much attention, it's something that I'm not really going to worry about. Go ahead and set my drag one below max, because that's normally what I want to do. What's going on here? There we go. I'm just going to let it hit the bottom, about 100 feet, give or take. And I'm just going to do that with a couple of these poles really quick. Get this all set up to go. And the main thing we're looking for as far as fishing times is if you get a start of the morning, if the first day you get here is like start of the morning, descending peak throughout the day, then you're fine to just fish that morning peak. But that's not what we got this time. It seems like these kind of the peak day times change from day to day. Or something like that, week to week. I haven't really paid much attention to when it changes. But this isn't what I'm talking about when I say like a beginning of the day peak. It's going to start off at like the peak, and then it's going to just fall off as the day goes by, and it never comes back up until the middle of the night. Like I said, I'll show you when I get to it. But you're going to do a little bit of fast forwarding here until you get to one of these days I'm talking about, which is going to eat up a little bit of cash, but it'll be worth it in the end, in my opinion. And I really think even fast forwarding through these days, with how many more fish I'm going to be able to catch without having to repair a reel, even if I'm just catching one unique per peak and then fast forwarding till the next specific peak times that I'm looking for. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the start of the day peak that falls off. If your first day looks like this, I'd go ahead and fish that peak, and you should get a unique every time. And then if your first day peak isn't, start of the day peak descending down like this one is, you're basically just going to want to fish the 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. peak times at night. And that's kind of what we're going to do here. We're just going to fast forward to 3 a.m. and these are going to be the only times I actually fish. And as I was saying, I'm pretty sure that even with all this fast forwarding time and just catching one unique per peak, because I'm not going to be burning a reel every fish I catch, every unique or trophy, I think this is still going to be the cost-efficient way of doing this. It's going to, I imagine, when everything's said and done, and I actually do have to leave to repair stuff, that it's going to be actually profitable. The one thing, which I guess I'll just go ahead and reel this in really quick. But the one thing that you want to be kind of careful of and just keep an eye on is your equipment. Because as you fast forward days, your equipment durability is going to go down, even if you're not catching any fish. So once you get to like day, I would say like every 30 days, give or take, in game, I would just take a look at your equipment and make sure that it's not about to break. Your equipment is one of the things where I would say if your equipment is in the red, like you can see my jacket and my rod stand are in the yellow right now. When these get down to about red, I would, which I kind of keep track of every, 15 to 30 days. That's when if your reels aren't ready to be repaired, but your equipment's in the red, I think it makes sense to back out just to get those repaired. That's kind of the only thing about this whole fast forwarding through the days and not really caring too much about, the fast forwarding time costs and everything. So one thing that you want to still kind of keep track of, because your equipment is one of those things that I guess I've never really broken my equipment, and so and maybe the boat's kind of one of the main things. Like if your boat breaks, and it's a DLC boat that you paid real cash for, you're gonna need to spend bait coin for a repair kit on those. If that's the way it works, I'm assuming that's the way it works. It didn't used to be that you had to use repair kits when your equipment broke. It would just let you repair it for cash still. But now it seems like when your equipment breaks, rod, reel, whatever, you actually have to use a repair kit now. And like I said, when it comes to your rod and reel, if it doesn't cost bait coin, or it's not something that you got with real cash, basically, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just buy a new one if it comes down to it, rather than spending the bait coin. Unless, once again, you get really good at doing the competitions and you're just rolling in bait coins, and bait coins is not an issue for you. Then, by all means, do whatever you want. But this is kind of just more the suggestion for free-to-play casual players who maybe buy a DLC pack once in a while and get like some sort of Baitcoin-based equipment or something that they can't get just from in-game cash. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the gist of everything in a nutshell. And from here, we should just be able to focus on fishing and actually see how long it takes to catch these guys. Because something I've been really curious about is with a pole that's quite a bit better than what I was using for the max drag setup for the XP farming side of things, just speed farming. How fast do you catch these guys with a really good setup? How much durability does it take off of the reel, rod, whatever? And is this something that's actually viable to kind of farm out and make some good money off of? My assumption is 100% yes. I'll be surprised if this isn't actually a good way to get money after you're through the XP grind. But if you have the extra cash and you need XP fast, the max drag setup that I was talking about, that I've already done a video on yesterday, might be worth checking out. Or check out the CSABI10 guy's video. Definitely still puts up a little bit of a fight. So yeah, I mean, with the max drag setup, the way that I was reeling these guys in, I would have caught this guy by now. On a lower, kind of lower effectiveness setup. So it's going to take a little bit longer to reel these guys in with this setup, but because it's not doing near as much damage to your rod and reel, and you're kind of no longer in a time crunch to gain XP because, you know, whatever, you're going to lose access to the pond or you've got, you know, real life things that you got to worry about getting done, so you only got so much time to spend on it, and you got a little bit of extra in-game currency, so you just, you know, want to try to level up as fast as possible. Once that stuff's out of the way, I feel like this is going to be like the best casual player setup just to come out and fish for these things. Like I said, if you want to catch these a little bit faster, not having the anchor down would be a way to do that. But I don't really want to have to worry about repositioning my boat all the time, especially if I'm just sitting here watching YouTube, kind of casually doing this. The one thing I will miss about the max drag setup is the speed I was reeling these in at, but it'll be nice to actually gain some money again and still get some good XP. I couldn't believe I had 174 million, I think, before I started doing the max drag setups. And then I spent about 40 million on the max drag setups. And then I think I went down about another 10 million just off of kind of the repair costs, trying to get the last two levels from 108 to 110. I think I spent about 10 million in repair costs and fast travel times to get to 110. And so I had a just over 120 mil when I got to level 110, and buying 7 of these rod setups and a little bit of line ate up all but 10 million. I went from 173 million or whatever down to like 10, 11 million within like a week. It's just crazy to me. These rod setups are definitely not cheap, but I also didn't expect I would gain so much money so fast. I think it took me about a week to go from about 70 mil to 170 mil fishing for marlin and tuna in I forgot what the place was, but I did a video on that too, and it was basically just fishing from level like 98 to 108 so I can get the max drag setups to be able to come here. And really, I think the main thing I was waiting for on that was just to unlock the blueies for cash. Because it's level 108 to unlock the blueies. I'm sure that there's other stuff you can catch these things with. There was actually a spoon I was using to catch these with, but it wasn't near as fast catching them, like a faster bite rate, I guess. So this is definitely still taking a little bit of time to reel in, a little bit more than I was expecting. But that's perfectly fine. I am perfectly okay as long as this actually does give us more cash than we're spending, which I'll be surprised if it doesn't. That's why I decided just to go ahead and make the video without even getting like some concrete evidence of like, okay, I've tried this out, blah blah blah. I have no doubts in my mind that I'll actually be able to make money off of this. Kind of the main thing is that I want to be able to reel these in before 5 a.m. because I don't want to have to deal with fast travel times. If fast travel cooldowns is kind of the what I don't want to deal with. If it gets to the point where you have to deal with fast travel cooldowns because you're not catching them fast enough, then I do think it is worth having the anchor up. Which even right now, maybe it's worth having the anchor up. Just because of how long this is taking, I feel like we would have had this reeled in by now if we had the anchor up. rather than the anchor down. But I'll probably continue fishing like this personally, unless, like I said, it starts going into 5 a.m. Because, I mean, once it hits 5 a.m., you're fast traveling to the next 3 to 5 a.m. peak. And then you gotta wait for the cool down, while it might take you 2 hours in game to reel the fish in, give or take. That cool down period for fast traveling that far ahead is going to be longer than the 2 in-game hours it takes to reel that fish in. So that's one thing to keep in mind while you're doing this. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but you never know. Okay, there it is. Actually, pretty much the same amount of XP as it was for the max drag setup, which I'm actually surprised about. 95k. Honestly, doesn't even cover the fast travel time so far, but the first, it seems like even the last rotation, the first good day to farm these guys was on day 1, and then after that I had to fast travel through like 15 days to get to the next one. That first stretch seems to be the worst as far as like how much length of time there is between the 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. peak days. After that, it's not near as bad. And look, I only lost 3%, well, of my reel, and yeah, 3% of my reel and my rod. I can always bring some extra line and put on a new line. I've got more leaders and stuff like that, so I can change that stuff out while I'm here. I've even got another 3 rods besides the 4 I have out right now, to be able to switch out my equipment as I see fit, necessary, whatever. So, still, like I said, by the time everything's said and done, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have a profit to show for at the end of, between my equipment breaking, like my jacket, my rod stand, my boat, stuff like that, and my rods and my reels breaking. I'm pretty sure that I'm more concerned about my equipment right now than I am my rods and my reels, when it comes to like the boat, jacket, stuff like that. So keep an eye on that stuff, and still, by the time you have to leave, you should be able to show a profit catching these guys like this. And if you want to go a little bit faster as far as catching them, reeling them in, just go ahead and let up the anchor. You might have to reposition your boat every time you catch a fish, but depending on how hands-on you're trying to be or willing to be, it might be worth it. And once again, if it starts going into like the 5 a.m. period, it's also something that you might want to consider. just to avoid those fast travel cooldown times. I think I'll probably catch one more and then call it a video. In fact, maybe I'll just leave it going for a little bit. But I think I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and just watch some YouTube. I've said more than I feel like I need to at this point. So, just enjoy the show. Someone to fish with. If you're fishing and you feel like you just want to have this on to have someone to fish with or whatever. Okay. So this one's not putting up as much of a fight. It's still putting up a little bit of a fight. I'm guessing this is a trophy. It's putting up enough of a fight. I'll be surprised if it's not a trophy, but I'll also be surprised if it's a unique. No, it wasn't a trophy. I'm actually surprised about that. Alright, well, that's going to be it for me. I'm going to continue fishing for the moment, and keep the video going, but I'm probably not going to be saying anything. So yeah, hopefully this helps somebody. If nothing else, probably help me for the future if I ever kind of switch things around and decide to come back here. So, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.